Hi everybody, my name is Alanna Kaivalya and I'm the founder of the Kaivalya Yoga Method and the author of Myths of the Asanas, as well as a PhD candidate in the School of Mythology. This is my friend.
My name, is Chris Grosso, and I run the Indie Spiritualist website from the School of the Indie Spiritualist.
And a great writer.
I write a bit too, yeah. I write for elephantjournal.com and I freelance for other sites as well. So, what's up, Alanna?
Not much. I'm really glad to be talking with you here today, Chris.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be talking to you too.
Chris and I decided that we would talk about one of our most favorite movies ever, The Matrix,
Yes.
which, at least in our minds, in our collective minds, it's one of the greatest exposés of spirituality in our modern kind of culture. And of course, it's a fantastic movie. So we thought we'd illuminate some of the points in the movie for you to give you an idea of how this actually is a spiritual doctrine for us as modern day people, and how we can learn some of the lessons from Morpheus and Neo and the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar.
Very nice.
Yeah. But actually, my first question that I wanted to start with is, what is an indie spiritualist?
Well, essentially, I guess Indie Spiritualism bases itself off of a dogma-free spiritual approach. Something that really, I think, goes along with what Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche had taught in his book, Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. I think that resonates quite a bit with the indie spiritualist path. You know, it's someone that honors the truth inside of them, regardless of where that truth comes from. Mm-hmm. It recognizes that spirit saturates everything, that you don't need to be in a church or go to a sangha or, you know, do a certain amount of prostrations every day in order to find spirituality. That stuff is wonderful, and I definitely partake in some of it myself. But it kind of is the approach of come as you are, you know, come as you are. And if you find spirituality while you're out skateboarding or you're in the garden or you're working out, whatever you're doing, anytime you're connected with spirit, it's just as valuable as if you are in church or you know, in a sangha or doing whatever you're doing, meditating. And so it's all kind of grist for the mill.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That really resonates with one of the things that completely changed my life a few years ago when I heard it said. A really amazing yoga teacher, Mark Whitwell, was the one that I heard this from, that essentially the guru, or the teacher, is meant to be no more than a friend and no less than a friend. Mm. And I think in this day and age, or actually, you know what, any day and age, teachers tend to be seen as having all the answers,
right, or
being someone who knows more than we do, or as students, we put them on a pedestal in some way that creates a hierarchical structure, right, so that we see them as different or separate or better than us. Right. And this idea of the guru being no more than a friend and no less than a friend means that we're friendly, right, with the teacher, but they're never going to treat us badly, and they're never going to put us aside or make us different from them. And I think that that is a wonderful way to think about how we zero things out a little bit and release any ideas of hierarchy, which is great, yeah, and take back ownership of our own internal teacher, right, our own power to lead ourselves to the path of truth or the land of truth. And of course, Krishnamurti would say that truth is the pathless land, that you already are exactly where you're supposed to be. Right. So in light of these ideas, the indie spiritualist, and taking back ownership of the teacher within ourselves, the Matrix has a lot to offer, right, with these ideas. And of course, Morpheus, I think, is the greatest guru of modern time. That might be an overstatement, but I feel pretty passionately about the movie, sure, and the film. What are your favorite things that Morpheus teaches Neo?
I mean, the root teaching that he gives him in the first installment of The Matrix, where he just needs him to believe in himself, you know, and is unwavering in his faith of Neo and Neo's process, and that he is the chosen one, you know, mm-hmm, he is the one. I thought the building jumping scene was particularly powerful, yeah, where, you know, Neo, just like any of us, gets the courage and we run and we jump and we fail and fall hard and hit hard, but like any good guru, you know,
get back up and do it
again, Morpheus, right, totally encourages him to keep going, for sure, yeah.
And you remember the scene where Mouse is standing there and he's like, what if he makes it? What if he makes it?
Right.
And they say, nobody makes their first jump. And
right.
what if he makes it? What if he does? And then he doesn't make it, and they're all kind of crestfallen.
Right.
And they didn't make it. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Nothing.
At all.
At all.
Right. And I think that's awesome how that plays out, and that totally translates into everyday life. We put these unrealistic expectations, not only on people we would consider gurus, but friends, family members, loved ones, co-workers, and we're inevitably setting them up for failure, just like they did with Neo, and
absolutely.
When we start to take more ownership of our own internal processes and worry about that and trust in that, and not have to rely so much on something else or someone else, we're able to begin to shift that and take a bit of our own control and power back.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I love about Morpheus as well coincides with something that I believe very deeply as a teacher, that when you're teaching students, your job is to see their highest potential.
Absolutely.
Always. And Morpheus never wavers in that. He always knows that Neo is the one.
Yeah.
No matter when Neo falls, no matter when Neo doesn't hit him in the sparring match, no matter when Neo doubts himself, Morpheus always knows that this is the one that I've been looking for. And I think it's so important for us as spiritual practitioners to have someone in our lives who believes in us a little more than we believe in ourselves sometimes.
Absolutely.
To help us stay on the path.
Right. And you can find that guidance. That's the beautiful thing. It doesn't just have to be in a guru or a teacher like Morpheus as well.
So where do we find a teacher?
Essentially, by going inside. I think that's where our ultimate truth resides. We're never separate from the teacher. The teacher was with us the moment we were born, will be with us the moment we die and thereafter. Really by quieting down and looking inside. I know it can be tricky in the beginning. People that are new to the path don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. And that's why I emphasize quite a bit that a great first step is recognizing where spirituality already is in your life. A lot of people overlook things like when you're listening to a record or, an album, whatever. But when you lose yourself in that, insert bad Eminem quote here. When
you lose yourself in the moment, by Eminem.
Yes. But when you do lose yourself, it is relevant though. When you're at one with that music, it doesn't matter what kind of music it is, but if you're really lost in that and connected with it, that to me is a form of meditation. When you're there and nothing else is existing, that's a spiritual experience. When you're out skateboarding and you're just at one with what you're doing, or gardening and you're just there with the flowers, not even necessarily thinking about them, but just being there with them, that's so spiritual. So a lot of people overlook that in their daily lives, and I think if you are looking for a way to deepen, your own sense of spirituality, that's a great place to start, is look for where it already exists in your everyday life.
So would you say that Neo already had it within him to be the one?
Always did, always will.
And, I think that this is really relevant and powerful for practitioners to know that there is no expert outside of them.
Right.
There is no one who can give them the understanding fully that they have everything that they need, right. That they are already whole, complete, and perfect.
Right.
Our biggest thing to overcome really in this work is the forgetting that we are already whole and complete and perfect. We are already Neo. We are already oneness or one, or however you want to put it. And so we go to teachers who can help to show us that. Like Morpheus. And I think that Morpheus did a fantastic job of corralling Neo in certain ways to get him into that place where he could have the experience. And I think that one of the most important things for us as an indie spiritualist would be to make sure that we don't give our power away to others. So where do you think is a good place to find a teacher? If a Neo wants to find a Morpheus, I think, where do you go?
Yeah, a teacher does not have to be a physical, incarnation of a person. I think a teacher is anyone or anything that helps you kind of peel away layers of yourself. Like you said, it's a matter of remembering. It's already there inside of us. We've just put so much external stuff over our core essence of being that we just kind of lose touch and lose sight of that. Mm-hmm. So a teacher absolutely could be an amazing Rinpoche. It could be a pastor at a church. But it doesn't have to be just that. It can be a book that really brings you to new understandings in your life or helps you kind of shift your conditioned paradigms. A teacher could be that really annoying person that just gets on your nerves, but when you start to like make peace with that and recognize that this person, it really isn't other than yourself. I'm kind of jumping ahead, but in the illusory nature of reality, but
the Matrix.
The Matrix, yeah. Right? And I mean, for me, my practice consists of essentially like every day is a classroom. What can I learn from this day? Yesterday was being in Brooklyn. I learned a lot in Brooklyn about myself and my judgmentalness, but I'm aware of that, and it's something I've got to work on. And then I catch myself, and it's all just stuff, stuff to be worked on. So yesterday I was surrounded by teachers in Brooklyn. I was surrounded by them, and I'm grateful to all of them. I don't think I spoke a word to really any of them, but they were all teaching me because I was allowing them to teach me, because I had that awareness there.
Yeah. I think that one of the great moments in the movie is when Morpheus is telling Neo essentially that he thinks he's the one. And that's a lot to saddle somebody with. You're going to be the savior of all mankind. Right. Oh, awesome. Okay. So as he's saying this to him, Neo says back to Morpheus, so what are you saying? That I'm going to be able to dodge bullets? And Morpheus says, no, when the time comes, you won't have to. So that Neo is always, he's always been ready. It's just, It's Neo's readiness that creates that. And I think that, when we pull in a little bit, when we retain our power and we understand that our own teacher inside is the greatest one we'll ever have, we're really on a great spiritual path.
Totally agree. And I think what Morpheus was kind of getting at too was putting some emphasis on Neo needing to understand his own experience, and our experiences are our ultimate truth, because your experience will differ than mine most likely, but doesn't make your experience any more valid than mine or mine any more valid than yours. They're both equally valid. They're both our experience, and that's where our greatest truth lies, is inside of us. And no matter how well-intentioned anyone else outside of us could be, whether it's our parents, our wife or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, they will never know exactly what's going on inside of us. So as Morpheus kind of pushes Neo, like in that great line you quoted, like, when you know, you won't have to. When you have that experience, then you'll understand.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like the Vedas say that the truth is one, but the sages call it by many names. That's right. There's a number of ways to get there.
Right.
It's just a matter of getting there.
That's right.
Get there any way you can.
Any way you can. Kicking and screaming. It doesn't matter. You will.
Scratching and biting.
That's right.
All of it works.
Yeah. And I really do appreciate that teaching. And I think at the end of the day, part of what I find solace is I can't screw this up if I wanted to. I can't. Like, that truth is born in me and it will die with me, and it's just a matter of me remembering it. It's there for all of us. It's just a matter of reconnecting and reestablishing it. But no matter what I do, I can't lose it. I cannot. It's like inseparable for me.
It doesn't go anywhere.
That's right. Yeah. So even if I have a shitty day, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't mean like that spirit is any less inside of me or loves me any less. It doesn't know anything about love,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And Morpheus, of course, tells Neo that the whole point is to free your mind.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. And then Vogue took it one more step further, and the rest
will follow.
Yeah, I just quoted in Vogue.
Of course you did.
That's right.
Awesome. All right, before we get too 90s on our musical references, are there any other parts of the Matrix that are your favorite? I mean, the whole thing's my favorite personally.
Yeah, I mean, really, the storytelling's great. I think the one scene that really kind of, among many scenes, but one that really hits the nail on the head is when, and I forgot the character's name, Joe Pantalones or whatever.
Yeah,
Cypher, where he's eating the steak and he recognizes it, and he's saying to the one of the Matrix dudes there that he knows. Agent Smith.
One of the Matrix dudes.
Full disclosure, I haven't watched The Matrix in probably like a little over a year. I'm sorry. I'm dropping the bomb on the
time for a review.
I know it is. But so when Joey Pants is talking to Agent Smith, Cypher is talking to Agent Smith, but he's eating the steak, and he recognizes, like, even though this is an illusion, I know it is. It tastes so good. Like, who can't relate to that? You know. So that was a very powerful moment for me. How about you, Alanna?
Yeah, that's an awesome moment, you know, and I love that he wants to be plugged back in as a rock star.
Yeah.
You know, like, make me a rock star, make me famous, let me eat steak, let me enjoy the illusion. And I think also that it's worth noting a little bit about that. The point of spiritual practice isn't to remove oneself from this life and to reject what's happening in our experience, but rather to engage with it and really get into it. You know, what Neo is able to do when he finally realizes he's the one at the end, and you see him looking at the matrix with all the trickles of the green numbers and lights, that he's able to wield it. That he goes into the matrix and he's able to not only understand the rules, but to manipulate the rules and fly. That he uses the mechanism of the veil and the matrix itself to actually make that like his playground within which to play, and then, of course, save all of humanity. And I think that that's really important, because there is a misconception that in spiritual life you push those things away, that you're not interested in worldly pursuits, but the point of our lives is to enjoy it. We're here to enjoy our lives. There is nothing outside of there's nothing outside of God. Everything is awesomely okay. Everything is awesomely okay. And when we recognize that, everything becomes a spiritual experience. And Neo certainly works that angle at the end. I don't know, my favorite part. It's all amazing. It's all amazing. I mean, from the moment when he receives the phone in the office and has to start making that leap of faith, and there's the call to action, and like, okay, are you going to step up and do this? To the moment where Morpheus is getting totally beaten up by the agents, and he, you know, uses every last bit of his strength to jump out the window because he needs to finish up what he started with Neo. To the sparring scene, I think is so amazing, where you start to recognize that everything around you is created by you. And that's something that Neo sees in that moment too, which I think is really special. So if you haven't seen the movie, it's homework. I would say it's required for any modern day spiritual practitioner looking to find their own unique way of being one in this life. And I, you know, just really quick before we finish up, that scene you mentioned where Neo does realize he's the one, that's probably the scene that always gets me the most, like at the deepest level. Like, I get little chills, because you see his sense of confidence, you know, not cockiness, but confidence in, like, you know, he's connected to the, you know, the great divine, whatever it is, you know, as it is in the Matrix, but he knows, and there's that serene confidence, and I think that's very attainable for us, you know, each of us as we go through our days, just by establishing a little more awareness of the spirituality that's already happening in our lives. And do you remember at the end when he's fighting Agent Smith and he realizes he doesn't have to dodge the bullets? And Agent Smith just gets angry and runs at him. Do you remember what he does?
When Agent Smith jumps into him?
He absorbs.
Yes, totally.
Agent Smith. He absorbs the darkness. He absorbs the antithetical thing to him, and he takes it in, because it's all the same.
He transmutes it.
He transmutes it. Good word.
And that's the thing, when we say it's all good and it's all like a happy life, absolutely, but not in a Pollyanna sort of way. Like, there's darkness there, you know, shit happens. Life is not unicorns and rainbows and big gay ice cream all the time.
Which is amazing, by the way, on 7th Street. If you haven't been, you gotta go.
It totally is. The salty pimp.
The salty pimp.
But that's the thing is, like, you know, it was Christ, I believe, that said, be in this world, but not of it, you know, and you can enjoy it. And when you stop taking yourself and external things so seriously all of the time and realize it, at the end of the day, it's okay.
Absolutely.
You know, it really is. So.
And without the practice of the pushback from the agents, Neo would never have had the proving ground to be able to have the experience that he had. So when the shit hits the fan, man, It's all good. It
is.
When life gives you lemons, you paint that shit gold.
That's right. What up, atmosphere?
Had to get one more in there.
Rhyme
sorry.
same, son. Yeah. Yeah, all right.
Awesome. Well, I hope that you've learned a little something. I know that I learned a little something from you, Chris. Thanks for having the chat today. I appreciate it.
Anytime I can talk about En Vogue, I'm there.
Absolutely. So. Anytime I can quote Eminem, I'm there. So if you want to find Chris, he writes like crazy. I found him on elephantjournal.com. He's got some great series of articles coming out on Elephant Journal regarding the indie spiritualism movement that he's starting, as well as what exactly is dogma-free spirituality. And it's absolutely worth a look for anyone who is interested in creating a spiritual life within the modern day and still be able to be awesomely okay with everything, quote Eminem and En Vogue and whoever else you might be inspired to do. And his website is indiespiritualist.com.
Correct.
And he's coming out with a book soon.
Working on it.
Which I can't wait to read.
Yeah, thanks.
So if you want to find me, AlannaK.com in my book Myths of the Asanas, and I'm probably teaching in a city near you soon, so check it out.
She's everywhere.
And nowhere, all at the same time.
Hey!
All right, we'll be back and chatting about something else cool soon, so we'll see you around.
Thank you. That was good.